Republicans have raised some serious questions about President Trump's proposed steel and aluminum tariffs, and now his top economic advisor, Gary Cohn, has decided to leave the White House, apparently in reaction to the president's trade plans. To discuss what this all could mean for the country, as well as for the administration, we welcome now Republican Senator from Wisconsin, Ron Johnson, coming today from the Capitol. Senator, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate you doing it.
Good morning.
First of all, start with the most basic question. What do you think the right answer is? I mean, I think everyone agrees that some countries, including China, don't always play fair when it comes to trade. But a lot of people are also concerned that we will give back whatever gains we were going to get in growth from the tax cuts through a trade war. What's the right answer?
Well, the president said he enjoys conflict. Markets don't like conflict. Investors don't like conflict. Markets like stability and certainty. So do investors. And so I'm highly concerned with this administration's move that could spark a trade war. And, you know, the president claims that we can win a trade war. I'm not sure anybody does. There'd be an awful lot of collateral damage. So there's no doubt about the fact that, you know, China has a massive overcapacity of steel. That is a problem globally. But from my standpoint, I think they're looking at the wrong metric. You know, I would much rather export $2.3 trillion from America and tolerate a $500 billion trade deficit than have balanced trade or maybe even a surplus and only export $1 trillion. I think trading activity is good for the global economy, for the American worker as well. So I'm highly concerned about this administration's steps they're taking on tariffs.
To what extent, Senator, do you have hope that, in fact, the administration might rethink, or really President Trump rethink, and really do this in a more tailored or surgical way? Our colleague Kevin Cirilli right now has been interviewing Wilbur Ross, the Secretary of Commerce, and Secretary Ross is saying that we're trying to do a surgical approach, and particularly he's talking about Canada and Mexico, and concerns about what might happen with Canada and Mexico, who, of course, are part of NAFTA. Do you have hopes that actually the president might change his mind on this?
Well, when I interviewed Wilbur Ross prior to his confirmation, that's exactly the approach he was taking, is recognizing, which we all should do, there are trade abuses that need to be addressed. And China is the primary problem with intellectual property theft, industrial espionage as well. So we need to target that, their overcapacity. But let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater here. Let's recognize Canada is a valued ally. There's no national security risk in us importing certain types of steel from Canada. So I'm hoping that this administration tailors this specifically to address the real abusers and holds harmless our allies and our trading partners. The fact that we are the world's largest customer, the world's largest market, you know, last time I checked in the private sector, suppliers really treat their customers well. That's a very effective foreign policy tool we have going for us, having reasonably open markets for the rest of the world.
So, Senator, address that point, which is a very powerful point. When this first came out, these tariffs on steel and aluminum, one of the points we made, including, frankly, to Secretary Ross, was we don't import much steel or aluminum from China at all. It's something like 3% of steel, 7% of aluminum. We import far more from Canada, from Brazil, from Mexico, places like that. Why are we going to war with Canada, Mexico, and Brazil when many people agree that China really is the bigger problem?
Well, let's hope we're not going to war with them. That's one of the reasons I'm on this program, is to provide advice to the president. Please don't do this. Target the real abuses, and let's hold harmless, and let's strengthen our relationship with our strong allies. It's going to be better for American workers, for Wisconsin workers. You know, I pointed out to the president, in Wisconsin, we actually have a trade surplus with both Canada and Mexico. We need to conclude a NAFTA deal. I would love to see us re-engage in terms of TPP. I don't want to be having America left out of 40% of the world's marketplace. So, again, I'd take a different attitude. Hopefully this president will listen to the markets, listen to members of Congress that have real concerns about what he's talking about in terms of trade war.
So, Senator, beyond the bully pulpit that you have with your fellow senators, and for that matter, the Congress, how much power, direct influence do you have over this process? I mean, the president wants to go forward under Section 232, the national security provision of the Trade Act. Can you stop him? Can you change him? Or basically, do you just have a consultative role?
Well, first of all, the defense industry in the United States only uses 3% of America's steel capacity. So I think that's a pretty difficult argument to make that this is really a national security concern. And then our largest supplier of steel comes from Canada. So again, a reliable partner. But unfortunately, Congresses, and this dates back literally centuries, have given away their constitutional authority to the president on trade. I think Congress has ceded way too much authority to the president. Maybe it's time we start demanding that and passing laws to get that authority back, those powers back.
Have we come to that point, Senator? Do you think that there's enough sentiment up on Capitol Hill? So we hear a lot, particularly, as I said, from Republicans, really concerned about the effects of this on the growth pattern for the United States, on jobs back here in our economy. Is there enough sentiment up there actually to take action and take back some of, as you call it, the constitutional authority?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Unfortunately, free trade has not been politically popular. It was in the last election. It probably isn't now. I'm hoping the American public takes a look at the market's reaction to this type of trade rhetoric. And maybe we can come to our senses here. But from my standpoint, I think we have ceded far too much authority when it comes to trade and tariffs to the president. I completely agree. We need one negotiator, but as is the case in trade agreements, trade treaties, Congress should have a say. We should be approving these types of moves, not just give the president unilateral authority.
Okay, Senator, thank you very much for your time. Very, very helpful. And Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin joining us from Capitol Hill.